So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Base Empowerment online conference. My name is Sofia Leitão. I'm the Director of Research and Development at Hope for Children CRC Policy Center. Our organization is the coordinator of the BASE project, and I'll be introducing the speakers and moderating today's event. Before we start, I would just like to inform you that the event is being recorded and will be made publicly available at a later stage. Also, after our panel of speakers, we will have a questions and answer session, and you are most welcome to post your questions on the chat throughout the event, and our speakers will address them at the end of the presentations. Our event today is being held in the framework of the project BASE. This is a project co-funded by the Rights, Equality and Citizenship Program of the European Union. Over the past 2 years, we have been developing tools and activities to nurture inclusive communication and a culture of trust between support service professionals, survivors of gender-based violence, families, and communities to counteract GBV against refugee migrant girls, aiming to contribute to the prevention of abuse, to avoiding victim re-traumatization, and to encourage reporting of gender-based violence. We are a consortium of 8 organizations in 8 European countries. And I would like to brief you about our profiles just before introducing today's agenda. Hope for Children, CRC Policy Center, is an NGO in Cyprus. We work on the prevention, protection, and promotion of the rights of the child. We run the Children's House based on the Parnahus model of multidisciplinary support to children who have been victims of violence. We also operate shelters for unaccompanied children and the foster care program, among other support services to children and their families. Co-hosting today are our colleagues in Austria at ABIF. ABIF is a private non-profit research organization working in the fields of labor market policies, quality in vocational educational training, continuous training, and vocational orientation. Our partners in the UK, Renova, are a training, development, and management company operating in London in the areas of employment, skills and learning, arts, culture, and the creative industries, entrepreneurship, and social action. A Associação Portuguesa Conversas de Psicologia is a Portuguese non-profit social solidarity association with experience in scientific research in the areas of mentoring young people in situations of vulnerability and in the integration of groups in situations of exclusion. The organization's work focuses on inclusion through informal education, on strengthening social skills and soft skills, and on valuing interdisciplinarity and participatory and proximity methodologies. GAF, Gender Alternatives Foundation, it's an organization based in Bulgaria, working in the area of gender-based violence, namely in the field of domestic violence, sexual violence, and trafficking in human beings. GAF's team works to protect the rights and interests of women and children. CMOP, the Social Action and Innovation Center, is a leading NGO in Greece. It has been established since 1977. It's operating in other 7 countries, focusing their work on the provision of social services through the design and implementation of policy reforms in the social sector and research. The organization promotes the rights and opportunities of vulnerable and marginalized individuals and groups. CESIE is a non-profit and non-governmental organization based in Palermo, Italy. CESIE is committed to promote the cultural, social, educational, and economic development at local, national, and international levels through the active participation of people, civil society, and institutions, always valuing diversity. And finally, the Science and Research Center in Koper, a Slovenian organization working on an interdisciplinary basis involving humanities, social and natural sciences, with a special emphasis given to research in the specific environment of the Mediterranean and Upper Adriatic region. Today's conference brings together experts that have collaborated for the past 2 years to develop the BASE program, having participated in its training and the several cooperation events. We have invited them to share their perspectives on how to ensure child-friendly support to migrant communities and to migrant girls in particular. I apologize in advance for any inaccuracies when pronouncing our speakers' names today. Our agenda, the first slot we have Iliana Balabanova. She will be presenting the base tools that have been developed within the project, followed by the panel of experts and our cultural advisors, Priscilla Nade, Sana Neji, and Malihed Ngani. After which we will talk about the role of support services with Natasa Papamarco, Hibo Uardere, and Almerindo Prudencio. Moving on to the transnational cooperation that has been developed within the project. And the presenters will be Ruta Griga Lionate and Tiziana Fantucchio. And the final presentation will be by Blaj Lenarcic from the Science and Research Center in Koper. So, Iliana Balabanova. Martin, can you confirm that Iliana has been able to join us?
No, she hasn't joined us so far. So maybe we rearrange the agenda a little bit.
Sure. So
in the past, so maybe there's a thing.
Yes. So in which case, Martin, we can proceed with the second panel on the experience of cultural advisors. And our first presentation is by Priscilla Nade. Priscilla assists in translation for French-speaking refugees and asylum seekers in Cyprus, and for the French-speaking unaccompanied children at Homes for Hope shelters in Nicosia. She is also a refugee outreach volunteer for the UNHCR. Priscilla is a Cameroonian living in and out of Cyprus for 16 years now. In her own words, she is a single mother of 4 amazing kids. Priscilla successfully completed the base cultural advising training in Cyprus and has since participated in a number of events to raise awareness on the importance of the role and to promote its the role close to support services. For the technical reasons today, we have prepared a pre-recorded video with Priscilla, but Priscilla is here with us and will be able to join us at the question and answer slot at the end of our presentations.
So can I start her?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Hello, Priscilla. Thank you for accepting our invitation for this interview.
No, thank you for having me.
And before we start with our interview, I would kindly ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Priscilla Ade from Cameroon. I'm an orphan, a single mom of 4 amazing kids, and an only child. And I'm one of the beneficiaries of the training that was given by BASE through Hope for Children last by the ending August last year. So yes, that's basically me.
Great. So, Priscilla, would you like to share with us your opinion on the BASE Cultural Advisor Program?
Of course. It was really fun, if you ask me. I love the teaching. I love, especially the trainers. They were very nice, very friendly, very approachable, and very professional in the way they handle the classes, using very informal ways to teach. And they're really good professionals, because it takes really great people to be able to come up with such great ideas, such great ways of teaching, when we are dealing with such a sensitive issue as gender-based violence. And they did a very great job. And I feel like it's a path towards the right direction to be at least a platform to train people so as to be able to handle gender-based violence, to be able to recognize it, see how to deal with it, how to go about it, and the different places where you can get help. I think this is very important, and people try to neglect that. They don't really see the importance as much as the way, the impact that it has on people, especially young girls and women. So it was really a great platform, and I encourage that, because the more people are being trained, people are taught about it, and they will also go up and help other people, you know. For example, as a mom of 4 that I have, like their ages range from 21, 20, and 15, like, but my son is 13. So I have girls at home, and which other place, like, charity wouldn't be good if it doesn't start at home. So as a mom, for me, it's first of all good, so I can be able to protect my kids and myself as okay, I've been through it, but now it's time for me to use that voice to be able to help people. And that training gave me that platform, gave me that voice. And as a person now that is a cultural advisor, I really want to use this platform and any other platform that will come up in the future to be able to spread that knowledge that I acquired. So it was very resourceful and very, very important that we had that. And I appreciate the organizers and especially the trainers. And a special shout out to the participants, because it was fun. And I mean, what other thing is better than having fun with great people and at the same time learning? So yeah, I loved every experience of it, and I wouldn't mind going training and be able to have the chances to be able to train others. It was very impactful. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm glad you like it. So, Priscilla, how could you, as trained cultural advisor, could support migrant women and girls preventing and disclosing sexual gender-based violence?
First of all, thank you for the question. First of all, it's very important that we work together. It's a collective effort. In this case, I would like to call upon, for example, maybe the police, that they have like a special hotline just for migrants, you know, and then again, so that they should, in order for that to work effectively and efficiently, they should try as much as possible to train more cultural advisors, so that we'll have more cultural advisors to help to be working in these hotlines, so that people who are calling in, especially migrants, they'll feel feel comfortable to call whenever there is a problem. You know, then they'll get to understand that if I call this particular helpline, for example, it's going to help me get the help that I want and that I need, especially. And it's also important that we create, for example, like to advise women, especially people coming from Africa, because we always have this tendency and of not trying to just make light of every situation, especially when it comes to gender-based violence. They always treat it as it's something not important. It's a family thing. It's bad for a woman to complain. A woman who complains about this is bad. Every stereotype that goes, because we always have this thing like because of the bride price, the woman is practically the man's property, and people just try to, as much as they can in the African community, to try to normalize women, that like it's okay to support views. And this is the time that you try now to tell these women, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to report to the police. Create this some sort of like a safe environment where they can trust you, so you can take now that chance and advise them on what exactly to do. Like try to calm them down, because I know when I was going through it, I didn't want to say, you know, because this is not how I was brought up, you know, you have to respect the man, whatever he says goes, you know. So, but when they come and you try to even relate and try, for example, for me, I would like to create this safe environment and make them know that it's okay. You know, it's okay, because as Africans, we always have, there's always this thing that they add, you are a strong Black woman, oh, you should complain about this. You know, I want women to understand that it's not okay to be strong all the time. It's okay to be vulnerable. It doesn't make you less of a woman. Instead, it makes you human. So people should try and help these women, because I'll use that to make them really open up to me. So I can see that I can actually relate with what they went through or what they are going through. So then make them to be able to trust me. I think with that confidence and confidentiality that whatever they will.
It's a bad connection problem and we lost a part. So for me to understand and to just refresh, what your suggestion is to create migrant helplines or helplines for migrants, let's say, where migrant women and girls can call, and cultural advisors will be answering these calls, and they can inform them like what is the situation here in Cyprus, what's the process we follow, the laws and so on. Is that your suggestion?
Exactly.
So tell me a bit more about it. I mean, in general, about the support the cultural advisor could provide, please.
That one. And then I also mentioned the fact that it's good to create like a safe environment for because as a cultural advisor, what you do is also advise, and then because you are also connected culturally somehow, so you try as much as you can to, because you understand where they are coming from, right? And because you understand what they are coming from, you understand what they are going through, and for example, if we have to take case of police, for example, a girl might be there, she is shy, maybe because of her culture, she's shy, she doesn't want to open up, she doesn't want to maybe talk to the police. So there is no way the police can help someone without communication. So if you cannot communicate with this person for one reason or the other, for example, maybe the child or the young girl is afraid, maybe because of the policeman or whatever, the culture behind it, that maybe you shouldn't talk to the police anyhow. And sometimes when this violence, the perpetrator is somebody in the family, you can't really take this person. To them, they feel like it's normal, it's a family member, you have to protect one of you, and then sometimes they even see it as love, they see it because whoever is doing whatever they're doing, which is very bad, and they see it as a sign of love. They're like, I'm doing this because I love you, I'm doing this, you can't tell anyone, that element of secrecy. And that's one of the things that's even making this silent killer so silent, and people tend to ignore it because they always say it's out of love. A man is abusive towards the wife at home, like, I'm doing it, it's because I'm trying to correct you, I'm trying to teach you how to love me. So because of all this, it makes it now difficult for the girl to maybe, I don't want to be the person that will be a snitch. I don't want to be the person that will send maybe my uncle or my father. Sometimes it's crazy, but sometimes it happens that it's even the father of the girl. So they wouldn't want to open up to a stranger, especially not a policeman, because to them they feel like it's normal. It's a sign of love. It's something. It's not a taboo. It's not something that you have to share with the public because you don't want to snitch, like I said, on whoever is doing it because you made a promise. So that's another way to look at it. And I would also like to create an environment that people will feel free to talk about their problems, like I said, and you have to understand and try to advise, because as Africans, we always tend to do, because we believe so much, to do things that are out of the norm, especially when it comes to domestic violence, because we've been raised good wives. It doesn't matter whether you have a PhD in anything. If if a Mrs. is not attached to your name, you're a nobody. And that's what is keeping some women. We've now learned to tolerate than to be celebrated. So many women would rather be in marriages where they are tolerated than be where they are celebrated. They are just like, okay, I was raised to be like this. Irrespective of what I do in my life, I will never be validated by my people or the people around me if I don't have a missus. So we just take besides. It's normal to have a cheating husband. It's normal to have a man that's beaten. Again, it's seen as a sign of love. So we have to create a place where they can trust, they trust you. So you advise them, like you create a place where they can trust you, and you can in turn help them to understand that you are here for them. And then it's okay if to do all the things that to open up, basically open up and say the things that he is doing. You're in a different country, you're in a different place. The laws are different. Whatever he did back or whatever he's doing now, it's going to affect him if you open up. Like, he's going to pay for the consequences if you open up. The only way you can stop this is if you actually open up. Because it's domestic violence is such a silent killer. Because people sometimes back home, they make you, even here in Cyprus, because you come from Cyprus with this mentality that you don't have to say anything bad about husband to another person. So whatever he says, whatever he does, it's okay, because you are trying to protect your family. So but you have to tell the person that's been through, the victim, that it's not okay, you know. Especially for us Black women that we've been labeled like, oh, strong women. It's okay to be vulnerable. You cannot be strong all the time. Crying doesn't make you lesser of a woman, but if not for anything, it makes you a human being. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel vulnerable. And yes, you can get help, because the laws here are different from the laws back home. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
It's great. Yes. You said a lot of things that they were very interesting. I have one more question. What support would you like to have to act as a cultural advisor in your community here in Cyprus?
That's a good one. That's a very good question. At the top of my head, what's coming in? How about getting me for the job? You know, it's very important that, I mean, if I can say I'm working, I'm a single mom of 4 kids. At least let me be paid that. And what's the point of getting up every day and going somewhere if, I mean, we've got bills to pay? So if by any chance we are getting paid for the services rendered, it's going to be a very great thing. Because, I mean, it also means like we've been acknowledged, we've been accepted, we are recognized, you know, as people that are working. Like, for example, if you see, like, the same way they say, or they pay, even a cleaner or somebody, like, just pay us the services rendered. So that's even going to motivate us more. It's going to even serve as an incentive for us to do better. I'm not saying that without the money, we are better, but all I'm saying is going to like encourage us. And why not make a living out of being a cultural advisor? It's a job just like any other, so I might as well make a living out of it by being paid.
Anything further to add before we close our interview?
Okay, I think I've exhausted what I have to say, but then again, I'll be very open. I'm here to any questions. If anybody from the audience, if anybody wants to ask the questions, I'm here. Just answer them.
Great. Priscilla, thank you so much for your time.
Oh. No, you did something wrong.
Priscilla, thank you so much for your generosity. Priscilla has taken already part in a number of events, and she has always been really open about her personal experience and showing a great strength, wanting to support the girls of migrant communities. So thank you so much, Priscilla. Our next speaker, and I should also thank Rafaela Iorghio, who was conducting the interview with Priscilla. She's our colleague at Hope for Children CRC Policy Center as well. Our next speaker is Sana Neji. Sana is a Tunisian living in Italy and working as a cultural advisor since 2010. Sana has graduated in language translation and interculturality, and she has been working with Italian authorities as a mediator through various organizations such as the UNHCR and the Red Cross on quarantine ships and COVID-19 hotels. Sana, the floor is all yours.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Sorry.
Good morning.
Yes. So sorry because I'm working now, but let me start. So actually, I have to thank first of all Tiziana with this opportunity, and for everybody here who hear me, to share this experience and share the idea, because for me I think it's very important exchanging the information and learning all the time, because we know actually information it's good, but how we can do it, it's a little bit difficult. Now I want to talk about my first of all with the program of BASE. Do you hear me? Because I don't know.
Yes,
maybe,
we can hear you.
Okay. Because I'm in middle of the sea sometimes. Sometimes there is no connection. So my experience with first of all with BASE, that means I learned a lot of things, because at the first time I don't have a lot of information or a lot of let me say technical to talk with migrant or some kind of migrant. Actually we talk about girls, and in some case I don't control my emotion, and maybe sometimes I hope to help them, but in some case they help me to I don't know. I have this difficulty after this course. I learned a lot of things to first of all control my emotion. How can I help these kind of girls and migrant in general? How can I talk to them? The key to open their world. How can I let me say? How can I give them the information, not necessarily directly, but in other way? Because sometimes in this topic it's so difficult, as the beautiful girl said it. I forgot her name. Sorry.
Priscilla.
Priscilla, yes. That is, if there is not confidence between the advisor and the person, they cannot open, because there is a taboo, there is sometimes the religion thing, the culture, and so on and so forth. So we need here a person who know how can I talk to this person, how can I open their world to give me the information, and I give them the information that they need. Now, in my community, I see that in Italy, for example, there is a place that there is a collaboration with the mediator, or special mediator with, for example, hospital or some place to simulate this case, and after that they will give them the information. Now, to be a good advisor, first of all, I want to say that we needed more courses, because okay, I do this course, but we cannot stop it here. We must continue, maybe to give a German more courses, more more information, new experience, for example, share it with other person, other case, because maybe in England there is some case, because the community of Bangla, for example, it's more than African, maybe we can, this change of information, and in the same time, the change to share more information help everybody to know how we can help this person. I don't know if it is clear, but I'm trying to give the idea. And for me, the important thing is the place. To give this person a place, not necessarily a place specifically for this case, but for example, I can take a place, a general place, like a garden, or because we know girls like to go to garden to meet other person, or maybe with their child, maybe just to talk. But we can use this thing to introduce our information or introduce something good. Maybe a coffee shop, or I don't know, because not everybody can use internet or can use media. So I think a place to talk, we can talk for everything, but in the same time we can give you some information. Maybe you don't have anything, but when you listen other person, or you listen some case, or you listen some story, you can take this information and give it to other. What else? The place, and I think also the continuity of information, give it to this person. For example, in my case, I'm in the quarantine ship. Okay, so I give for some, I identify some case, so I give them, for example, information like introduce, because we know the person who coming from other place, actually they don't know anything, they don't have any information for anything. Also, they don't know which is my right, what can I, how can I live in this country, and so on and so forth. So because in this ship we give information for everything, we can identify this case, and we can give them information. After that, when they go out, if there is not a person or ethnic or something represented who talk about this girl or this person who will go out, they will be lost. They cannot know. So I have the information. So I am here in the land. So what can I do? Actually, when they go or leave the ship, if someone come there in the port, or maybe someone who give a brochure, or the authority, or I don't know, someone who continue what I do, or what I talk to them, they will take it. Look, you can go in this place, you can do this, you can, and so on and so forth. Or in the community, actually, when they go to the community or the place that they will go there, we can give it the continuity of the information that I give it to him. After that, we can start it, we can continue it, and the girl have this confidence, that means there is a person who think it to her, and it is right that what I tell them, and that's it. I think it's enough. Thank you for the attention. If you have some question, I'm ready.
Thank you so much, Sana. Thank you so much for taking your time at your at your working place, and for having shared with us your experience with working with migrants, and also your views on how to improve the cultural advisory role. We will have the chance for sure to talk a little bit more later on in the question and answers section.
Okay. Thank you.
We will now proceed with Malihe Dengani. Malihe, holds a degree in computer engineering and hardware and a degree in architecture and interior design. She's an artist as well. Maliheh is an Iranian residing in Greece since 2019, having started to volunteer with the Red Cross shortly after arriving in the country. Since July 2020, she has been working as an interpreter with IOM, and because of her life experiences, she became active in human rights protection, especially on matters regarding the violation of women's rights. And her goal is to learn more and share her knowledge with women all around the world that have suffered because of lack of knowledge about their rights. Maliheh, the floor is yours.
Hello. Hello,
Good morning.
everybody. Good morning. Do you have my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello to everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you again. And I'm at work. I really hope that they don't interrupt me. But I am not some very short answer to the question that you wanted me to talk about.
Yes, we will. Hello, Maliheh, from me as well. We will have a discussion live on the questions that we want your opinion about. So we can make it more active. Maliheh, I have to say, is a person that I admire very much. She's active, she's eager. It was a pleasure to meet her in the trainings, and I will begin with that. How important was for you the training for cultural advisors that you attended?
I was really lucky that I could be part of this training because I was a victim of GBV cases, and I didn't have lots of information about it. I didn't know even that this kind of cases can be GBV cases, violence. And when I attend this training, step by step, I learned about sex, about gender, about a case of violences, and how the roots of stereotypes or myths about women can cause this kind of violence. And I learned a lot. Okay, it was really nice. Always it can be done better. You can learn more, and I'm really waiting to learn more. But it was a very good start. It helps me a lot to first. It gave me some self-awareness. So now I don't let anyone to be violent with me. I try. And second, among my close friends, close community, I transfer this information to them every now and then in a friendly meeting that we have with my family, for example, in Iran, with my friend in Iran. I transfer this to them to be aware that it's okay. It was normal in Iran in our life, but it's not a norm. It's not it's violence, and you can stood up for it even in Iran. Even if you don't have the support network that I'm so lucky that I have here. But when you know, knowledge is a power. So when you know it, you have more power, you have more confidence, and you go for it, you will stand up for it. So I really appreciate what you are doing, and I really hope you continue doing your work.
Thank you, Maliheh, and we hope that it is always so useful and that people have the chance to proceed with this knowledge to the communities. So how would you say that a trained advisor can prevent and help an SGBV survivor report the incident?
I work in a camp as an interpreter, and the most people of my community, women, refugee girls, refugee that I see is here in the camp. So I'm gonna focus in the camp specifically. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I really see as a need is that they can join with the real world. They are here with themselves, with this same culture, same people. Everything is like they are in their own country. So they don't see it. And there is no specific training, education to teach them, to learn them, or even there is no enough material. Okay, there are some brochure every now and then, but there are not enough even close. So the first thing is that we should somehow give this information to them. I don't know, with some session during the weekend, I'll be a volunteer to go in any camp to transfer, but we need to be a team. And I don't know, make some materials, brochure, give to them, and then session by session start talking about them, because just giving the brochure is not enough. We should talk about it and open it. And then with the very friendly sessions, build some trust, because it's really difficult to talk about it, to open up about it. It takes time and a lot of trust to someone start talking. In the camp, every day we see this, that the people, the woman, the girl is suffering of the violence, but they don't talk. Some of them are because the community asking for them to be a good wife, be a good girl, don't talk about it, shut it down. And if someone stand up for it, the community against them until they have to leave the camp. And we had lots of this kind of cases. So they should be first knowledge and second trust, so they can be more aware of this situation, and they can open up and they can talk about it. Other than that, other than training them, I don't know, some kind of friendly community with participate of that cultural advisor, because culture is a really, really sensitive topic and it's really deep. So you can't really talk about it and start changing their view very easily. It needs time and you should be really careful. It's really sensitive. So you should build a community by trust and friendly, and then start slowly giving them this information. And the other thing is that they need to be in the real world with the people. They don't, we have a girl here that all the community of Farsi speakers loves her because she's kind of in my age. She's always in her container. She doesn't go out. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't talk with anyone. She's just in the house, and everyone says that she will be a good wife because she's like this. She just do cooking, washing, and she doesn't go out. And this is the culture that they brought with them here, and it just makes me angry. I'm done with this question.
Yes, I think that you are very right in what you said. The importance of immediate communication and brochure is never enough. The importance of establishing trust, and of course, the patience and the time needed for some habits, let's say, to change, to move forward. And the stereotypes are, of course, a major factor. And the last question that I would like your opinion about, what support would you need to act as a cultural advisor, and what challenges do you face in your work?
I'm an interpreter, and the organization that I work, you cannot talk with beneficiary, you just interpret. So officially, I cannot do anything. I talk with my colleagues every now and then about the stuff that I see or I hear, because I understand, they don't understand. We pass from the containers. I hear some stuff, and I transfer to them that it's like an alarm. We should be aware of this. But I cannot act myself as a separate, specific person. So I don't think as an, okay, maybe more collaboration with the specific organization that works in the camps. In the camps that I work, there is Solidarity Now, there is IOM that can do some. So we should collaborate with them and start some training. It's very important. Knowledge is really important. The biggest problem is that they don't know. If they know, they will act. They act only when it's really dangerous and really big. Other than that, they don't talk about it. And when they talk, they are scared if they will affect their cases, if they will have find some problem among the community. So if we can do some collaboration with the supportive organization that we have with this organization, it will be really helpful. Other than that, if we can just go camp by camp in the weekend as a voluntary group to transfer this knowledge to them, to make small communities that build on trust. So I, as a culture advisor, have authority, have a personnel ID to be able to talk to them and do some action. If I see something, I have the ability to just call a safe number as the first person suggested to report this accident and do something about it instead of just waiting for the organization to do something that sometimes, because it's too much, they cannot provide for all of it. And let me see if I have something here that I didn't mention. And yes, please continue the training for us, because I learned a lot, but I need more. And the more knowledge that I have, that I can have, the more confidence I will be, so the more powerful I can be, and I can help hopefully more women.
Thank you very much, Malika. Please continue what you're doing. You're doing great, and you're helping so many women. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. And I'm available if anyone has a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Melehe, and Natasha as well. And thank you, Melehe. I'm sure I'm talking and speaking on behalf of all partners to humbly acknowledge the way you so openly talked about the impact of the cultural advice and training in your personal and professional lives. So thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you for your time.
And yours, thank you. I would then, I think we continue to the next panel for the role of the support services. I'm not sure that Ileana has joined us now, so I think it will flow naturally to continue our panel with Natasha Papamarco. Natasha Papamarco is a colleague at Hope for Children. She's a registered clinical psychologist, and she's currently working at the Children's House. She has studied psychology at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. She holds a post-graduation degree in clinical and health psychology, and she's currently finished her training in integrative psychotherapy. Natasha, welcome.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon to all. I'm going to share my screen in order to see my presentation. So I am working at the Hope for Children CRC Policy Center, and more specific in Children's House, which is implemented with the funding of Ministry of Labor, Welfare and Social Insurance, with the cooperation of Social Welfare Services, Cyprus Police, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Education and Culture, within the framework of the National Strategy and Action Plan to combat sexual abuse and child pornography. And the management and operation have been assigned to Hope for Children, following the granting of state aid by the Ministry of Labor, Welfare and Social Insurance. Is a child-friendly environment, multidisciplinary and interdepartmental model based on Barnahus model in Iceland, and offers support and rehabilitation services, multidisciplinary and holistic management under the one roof in cases of sexual abuse against the children. So the multidisciplinary interagency case management is the forensic interview, the medical examination, the psychological evaluation, the psychological support and therapy, family therapy, and social support and rehabilitation. The basic principles are serving justice through a child-friendly process, ensuring the protection, safety, and welfare of the child, the best interest of the child, right to be heard and be informed, avoid unjustified delay. The Children's House target group is all children up to 18 years of age who are involved in sexual abuse or exploitation, and non-offending parents or guardians are a secondary group target. It's a child-friendly environment. There is professional capacity development framework and prevention, exchange of information and awareness. Cyprus police and social services can refer to the Children's House. And the multidisciplinary intervention begins with the report of possible sexual abuse and continues until the child's final rehabilitation. The goal is to ensure the coordination of services, professionals involved in managing of each case, and management plan design. The social support and rehabilitation is the assessment of family needs, finding sources of help, support plan with defined actions, and monitor and evaluation of the implementation of child rehabilitation measures, such as protection measures against the offender's parent, receiving allowances, child education, further treatment, social support for a non-offended parent. Also, the social worker is the case manager, is the first who contact the child and the family, managing the forensic interview, the forensic examination, makes house visit, cooperation with the school, preparation for the court, and participation in multidisciplinary meetings. The forensic interview is conducted only by trained police investigators, and only the interviewer and the child are in the room. The forensic interview is generally observed by the social worker, family counselor, in order to safeguard and promote the protection of the child's rights and interests, and by a clinical psychologist to support the process, taking into consideration the child's development. There is a specialized team of investigators, flexible in different types of approaches, always with the best interest of the child in mind and protecting their rights. The maturity of the child, its developmental stage, its particularities, the type of abuse, the cultural context, the characteristic of the case should be taken in consideration. So the psychological assessment is the collection of information on the child's developmental history, the mental and cognitive level, memory, self-perception, and the way it relates to other people, any symptomatology and psychopathology to define a therapeutic plan to support the child and or their family. There is also psychological support and therapy offered, such as trauma focus, cognitive behavioral, narrative therapy, systemic psychotherapy, solution-focused therapy, psychoeducation, in which the non-offending parent also participates whenever it's useful. And also family and group therapy is offered. So the challenges working with immigrant or refugee children and their families. Children and their families, due to displacement and disorientation that comes with moving and adjusting to a new society, face difficulties in creating a sense of safety and trust. previous negative experiences with, we see that a lot of them have previous negative experiences with authority figures. A particular challenge involves parental consent. The consent for assessment therapy may be confusing to immigrants or refugees because they are unfamiliar with such procedure and documents. Refugee children are likely to have had extensive exposure to traumatic events prior to migration, and difficulties in determining whether any difficulties they face are due to cultural adjustment or symptoms of a mental disorder. And also, we have some limitation of psychological assessment instruments that can result in correct diagnosis. Also, we see a lot of people who fear the consequences of the disclosure, the fear of social stigma resulting from the disclosure, which is higher in some cultures, making it very hard for some children or their families to disclose and cooperate. And due to the cultural background, they have different perspective on what it consists the sexual abuse or gender-based violence. An example is case of 13-year-old girls from Syria who were involved in marriage and sexual relationship with adults. And we faced difficulty in understanding the legislation, the terms of sexual abuse, and the procedures we follow. So a person with the same cultural background explains the Cyprus legislation's procedure followed by Children's House to the children and non-offending parents could contribute to better cooperation of them. Furthermore, a cultural advisor can explain the context of the country's culture to the victim, give information to the professional about a culturally appropriate way to discuss about sexual abuse, mental health symptoms with children and their parents to avoid imposing Western standards. Also, because the culture determines the definition and descriptions of normality and psychopathology, a cultural advisor can help the professional assess if symptoms are culturally specific ways to express mental health distress, and give information about social and environmental stressors in the child's life. And finally, provide information of definition of sexual abuse and the available services to other members of community to contribute to prevention or early intervention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Thank you for having an overview of presenting an overview of the Children's House procedures, and also for building a bridge between what the cultural advisor can offer in terms of support to professionals working in the context of the Children's House, which indeed gathers a multidisciplinary team. So thank you so much for your contribution, Natasha. Our next speaker is Hibo Wardere. Hibo is a Somali-born activist and campaigner against female genital mutilation. She is also a successful author, educator, and sought-after public speaker. Hibo moved to London when just a teenager in 1989 as a refugee fleeing the Somali civil war. Based on her own personal experience of female genital mutilation and reflecting on how this has shaped both her professional and personal life, Hibo's book, Cut, One Woman's Fight Against FGM in Britain Today, has gained critical acclaim and has been translated into both Polish and Lithuanian. Whilst maintaining strong links with the local communities, HIBO has worked hand in hand with policymakers and politicians, the Metropolitan Police, the Association of Midwives, and the Departments of Health, Education, and Human Rights to raise awareness and support for victims and potential victims of FGM, and to make positive changes to UK law in relation to FGM. HIBO has worked with the Mayor's Office in London on the implementation of a policy of zero tolerance. HIBO, thank you so much for being with us today. The floor is yours. You are muted.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Thank you so much. You pronounced my name so well. Wardere. That's the rarely happens.
I'm happy I made it. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Hibo. Oh my goodness, what an introduction. Thank you so much. I live in London. I'm a mom of 7. Yes, done great for humanity, I would say. I live in London. London is my home. I moved here when I was 18. I was mutilated when I was 6 years old back in Somalia. And it's a trauma that I carried over the years, and came to London with it, and didn't talk about it over 3 decades. And then something happened that made me talk, and that was the beginning, I would say, of finding really me by myself, because up to that point, what I did was just to continue what others did, which was normalize the pain, normalize the trauma, normalize everything that I felt, and just kept on going. And being a mom of 7 has made me actually be busy. So it gave me an escape route, if you understand that. But when that has stopped, and your youngest one becomes a full-time education, and all of a sudden you're at home, you can see yourself. It was, how do I run again? Came to my head. How do I run from myself? And went to school and became a volunteer as a teaching assistant, and in that school is where everything opened up for me, which means I was confronted. I was confronted by what I thought I've run away for so many years was there in front of me, where a child that I was looking after, the school had a suspicion about they might be taken to be cut, and that really triggered me. And that meant I had to look deeply into me on why was I been running all these years, and why is it that I can't face that trauma that has so deeply affected every aspect of my life. And it was a journey that led to where I am today, which meant I started talking about it, I started writing about it, and it wasn't the easiest thing to do. The first time I sat and looked deeply into me, it was the most traumatic evening, I would say. And that made me feel that I need to talk. I need to actually put the pieces of me together, million pieces fragmented around, bring them back together. And finally, when I had the whole jigsaw puzzle of me, it was, what do I do now? I'm raging. I really am raging. I want to use this. I want to use this pain. I can't be crying and angry all the time. How do I use this pain to stop this, to stop happening to any other girl around the globe? And it was teach, use it to teach, talk, and it was when a survivor finds her voice, do you have this hunger where you want to be like a, hurricane? You want to go everywhere, not causing damage, but causing a wave of change, a wave of educating people, a wave of bringing change. But most importantly, you want people to listen and be part of the journey that you're on. And at that moment, I didn't know what journey I am on. All I knew was I wanted to educate people, and I wanted them to understand. And that has opened me into many doors, which was, UK has done absolutely brilliant in listening to survivors like me. There are many of us. We were consulted on the law. We changed the law, and we changed the health service. We did. And it was amazing to see that. It was amazing. It was sort of being validated for your pain, but also we want to learn from you, which was absolutely magnificent. And also gave me a reason to keep on fighting. And all of a sudden it was followed by the media getting interest in my story. And I'm somebody who never ever sugarcoats what my story was or what what was happened to me, and I was using words that they were really shocked on, going backwards and saying, can I say this in morning time on television? Oh yes, you can. Women's body is nothing to be ashamed of. And here I was sitting in front of them telling them, you know what, I was all down, my legs were pulled apart, and they ripped off my they wanted me to say genitals, and I wouldn't say genitals, I would say they ripped off my clitoris, my labias, and they stitched me up, left me with tiny hole, like a tip of a mic. I literally explained what was done to me. And for them, in terms of media at that time, it was hard for them to hear that. But that was the reality. They needed to hear reality. And I took that upon as a challenge of, I'm going to make you listen, and I'm not going to use the words that make you comfortable, say, oh, I know about it. I didn't want you to feel that when you talk to me. I wanted you to go away feeling, I have a work to do. I have something to do. I feel inspired. However horrific it is, I wanted the person to leave me feeling inspired, and I want to go and do work. And that opened a lot of work for me. And that meant going to Canada, giving, talk for the first time at the parliamentary level, literally talking to their MPs there. It was unbelievable, me describing things. And here's how I started. I looked at the floor, and almost 90% of them were were men. And I just thought, how do I grab these men to understand what I'm talking about? And I said to them, please close your eyes. I said, if you're a man, just close your eyes, just close. And they did. And I said to them, think about this now. Somebody's pulling your legs apart really hard. They haven't done anything to you. Literally pulling your legs apart feels like your legs are going to come out of your joints or whatever. And I said, now think about somebody picking up either dirty razors or all sorts of horrific equipment, and they really are chopping off your penises and your balls. And you could hear all the sounds that were coming out from that room. And I said, open your eyes. The girls in your country are experiencing that. You need to do something. You have a duty legally and in human capacity. You have that right to protect those kids. Do not, class them as unreachables. We can't touch that community. We are culturally sensitive. We are this and that. Yes, be culturally sensitive, but also protect those kids, because that procedure that takes less than an hour will have a repercussion for the rest of her life. Repercussion for the rest of her life. Her intimacy touched, her childbearing touched, whether she becomes infertile or giving birth becomes difficult. She could lose her life while she's cut. She could lose her life while she's giving birth. Psychological issues and emotional issues comes with it. It's mind-boggling. I was trying to tell them, sit up and listen, because it's a difficult conversation. Whatever part of the world we are, when we're talking about women's body, it's difficult. Even Western world finds it difficult to talk about women's bodies. But it became bigger than that. It became bigger than FGM for me. It became about changing policies, which I never knew you could do that. It became about influencing policies. It became about, educating the professionals. It became about all sorts of things that I never ever dreamed of. And I'm sitting here in front of you today after 12, 13 years. The place that I'm in right now, it's amazing. I became the first ever survivor to become an FGM mediator. That meant I was between my local authority and communities. I worked with the range of communities. As you said in the bio, I educate police, I train them. I trained the social care people. I had an opportunity to train 110 most senior judges of UK. Schools, I love education. I look education as a knowledge. Education is freedom. Knowledge is freedom. And I teach, I would say 60% of my work is teaching students from primary school to university. I do that. And it's staggering to see something that happened to me and took less than an hour has become something that I look at it as a blessing in disguise. I don't know if you understand that. It means that I can talk about it, I can teach about it. I'm in that position, emotionally and psychologically, that I'm okay to do that. Then I met the lovely Amanda from the BASE project. In the short period of few months, we've done so much work. We've engaged and taught, the teachers, the social care, the, what you call, all sorts of professionals. It's been unbelievable, partnership. And what is so important about partnership, and I cannot stress this enough, is when you have people from the communities that you want to work with, and it is a must that you have people from that community. It's a must that you support them. Not only support them, employ them. Because when you give somebody a way of bettering their life themselves, it gives them hunger to better others, especially in their communities, or even reach wider than their communities. And for me, it was about that, being enabled to do my work. And partnership plays massive. I can't do nothing. No one can do nothing without partnership. And UK has become that, which is politicians seeking your help, policymakers seeking your help, local authorities seeking your help, national government seeking your help. It's all about that. And I think a European project like BASE project has done absolutely fabulous. And I couldn't be more grateful to them getting interest and working together. As I said, just a few months and we've done so much. Given a whole year or 3 years, God knows what we can do. And I'm excited about it. I'm listening also to the other presenters who are absolutely brilliant, given, training. Now, when you give training, give them the means to work too, because you've given them the tools. Now give them the little help to go further, which means you really are reaching into the community deeper. And having somebody from that community, remember, it's your bridge. If you don't have that bridge, everything will fall under. You need to have that bridge, and that bridge are the people from the migrant itself, people from that you need to have. And don't only train the young people as well. You have a powerful tool there. Older women carry status. Older women are amazing. Being given opportunity for the migrant women, it's absolutely a lifeline. Migrant women are intelligent, hardworking, hungry. I mean, like, they are ready for change, but it's how you give them the tools to be, to become change makers. It's the most important part. Don't be afraid to get nitty-gritty with them, because most of us come from cultures where we were made to feel you can't talk to people, you can't discuss this. We can't, first of all, domestic violence, never discuss it, because you are groomed from the young age. Your husband owns you. Everything he does is his rights. He can rape you, it's his rights because you are married to him. He can beat you up, it's his rights because he owns you. Everything about you, you are drummed to that, you are groomed to that. So when you meet a American woman who will tell you, I don't want to talk about that, don't assume that that's her culture. That's how she was groomed to be. And it can be part of tradition and culture as well. So don't be afraid to bring the older women into this conversation, into the training. Knowledge has no age limit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ibo. Thank you so much for your very powerful and inspirational intervention, and for the amazing work that you've been doing in fighting for the rights of girls in migrant communities where female genital mutilation is a big problem. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Almerindo Prudencio. Almerindo is an anti-racism activist and advocate for the Roma community in Portugal. He works as a counselor and cultural mediator, having contributed to several cultural mediation programs in municipalities across the country. He has developed research work regarding the Romani and Kalo language, and is a passionate advocate for the emancipation of Roman people and against discrimination. Martin, we have a pre-recording video. If you could please share it with us.
basicamente é fazer a ponte entre as várias instituições e a comunidade cigana. Por exemplo, na área da educação, porque a mediação pode ser feita em várias áreas. Na educação, na saúde, na habitação, e nesses, em condições contínuas. Mas eu baseio-me basicamente, estou a trabalhar estou a fazer mediação intercultural, mas é dentro de uma escola. Ou seja, qual é que é o meu trabalho? É fazer a ponte entre a comunidade escolar e a comunidade cigana. Sim, sim, obviamente que sim. Tanto que quando me falas sobre o projeto, eu fico muito contente por isso e acho que, pronto, porque nós temos sim um verdadeiro papel fundamental no combate à violência do género, porque ela não é só física, não é? E por nós sermos uma cultura com uma cultura vincada, não é? Que também já é mais baseada em mitos, propriamente verdades. Mas que existe. Partindo do princípio que vivemos numa sociedade considerada ela machista, misógina, imagina, se é difícil ser mulher, mais difícil é ser mulher cigana. E então, elas atualmente existem, isto é uma frase célebre, elas existem e resistem. Pronto. E isso sai das próprias mulheres que já estão há ano em Portugal e a nível europeu, mas falando no contexto nacional. Existe já alguma movimentação da parte das mulheres ciganas, mas são elas também alguém que fazem uma ponte intercultural, ou seja, fazem elas também o papel de mediação. E nós, enquanto mediadores, temos trabalhado em ações de sensibilização, formações, reuniões de debate, para tentarmos perceber de que forma melhor nós podemos, até que ponto nós podemos ajudar. E então, o papel da mediação, ou dos mediadores, no combate ou na normalização desta desigualdade que existe, que todos sabemos, é muito importante. E se não é importante, que tem-se visto que tem havido algum esforço, alguma dedicação da parte destas intérpretes na própria coesão deste novo movimento, que começa agora a crescer, não com muita força, porque eu tenho visto as coisas crescerem por vezes com muita força e rapidamente se cansam. Não, isto é uma luta que tem sido feita muito devagarinho, muito lenta, não é? Mas que nestes últimos anos teve um avanço substancial. E então, passa também da nossa parte de pedir alguma equidade nesse sentido, e fazendo também uma forte e grande pressão junto das ditas instituições para que a mulher, no geral, comece a ter, digamos, a tal liberdade e não viver, não ser vítima de esta violência de género, não é? Porque é sobre a base que ela também se inverte, não é? Não é só o homem que pratica a violência sobre a mulher. A violência do homem da mulher sobre o homem também existe. São menos casos, mas eles existem. E então nós, junto das comunidades ciganas, vamos sempre dizendo, opá, é bom, já não podemos continuar com este tipo de vida que o cigano antigamente tinha. Acho que os estudos não lhe vão roubar nada. Acho que os estudos à tua filha ou à tua mulher são muito mais que avaliáveis, até valorosos, e nós devemos pensar nisso. Compreendo que as mulheres são tão iguais quanto o homem e que essa mentalidade de superioridade tem que terminar, porque é uma violência a mulher saber sentir que não tem tantos direitos como o homem. E nesta sociedade, também faço ver isso às comunidades, nesta sociedade, quem se afirma no sentido de empoderamento, por vezes também não é muito bem vista. Então tem que, como diz o outro, dar um coice. Tem que dar um coice e dizer assim, não, isto tem que ser assim, eu quero assim. E temos tido esses problemas. Ou seja, não é problema, mas há quem os encare como um problema e dizem, as ciganas, depois de se empoderarem, deixam de ser ciganas. Não, a prova disso é que elas estudam e por isso não deixam de ser ciganas. Eu tive uma formação onde eu fiz parte em comemoração do 8 de maio, onde tínhamos ali um painel de ciganas que me encheu de orgulho, porque são mulheres empoderadas, são mulheres com donas de si e conscientes daquilo que são. Aí temos um problema gravíssimo. Eu vou-te dar um exemplo. Como sabes, existe uma estratégia nacional para a inclusão da comunidade cigana. Podes passar. Desde 2013. Desde 2013 que existe uma estratégia nacional para a inclusão da comunidade cigana. E ao longo desse tempo temos pedido que haja alguma intervenção e que consigam fazer os mediadores. Que existam mediadores. E lá está. Os mediadores existem, mas não há estatutos para mediadores. Portanto, logo o ordenado não pode ser igual. A igualdade não é justa. Ou seja, é só uma figurinha, digamos, é uma representatividade falsa. Eu compreendo isso. Então, nós precisamos de bases para poder trabalhar. Quem concorre aos mediadores é a autarquia. Vão escolher de preferência associações ciganas e de imigrantes. Estás a perceber? E essas associações são quem vai dar o suporte de apoio ao projeto. Mas eles trabalham com as associações ciganas e sabem a capacidade de suporte que essas mesmas associações têm. Ou seja, ficamos aqui novamente na corda bamba. Então, terão que ser a autarquia e associações não ciganas ou não de migrantes, porque os migrantes podem até ter associações com capacidade, se têm ou não têm, de suporte de financeiro, de logística, de pessoal capacitado. Eles sabem perfeitamente, ou a ACM sabe perfeitamente, que, por muita boa vontade que eles tenham, eles sabem que as associações ciganas não têm em arcabouço para suportar um projeto desta envergadura. Portanto, isto não passa de mais uma manobra para o inglês ver. Porque se é um projeto que leva tempo e tem que ser visto e revisto e analisado, a mim causa-me alguma estranheza que eles não conseguissem perceber que aquelas associações não tinham capacidade de suporte para conseguir desenvolver esse projeto. Obviamente que sim, isso seria importantíssimo. Aliás, eu adorava que isso acontecesse. Eu faria tudo que acontecesse. Naquilo que... Bom, quem avançasse para isso eu daria o meu apoio total e de certeza que muitas associações ciganas iriam aderir. Algo que me marcou muito nestes pequenos trabalhos que eu tenho desenvolvido, que não são grandes coisas, não são de grandiosidade, mas são pequenos trabalhos que eu vou desenvolvendo, eu e muitas pessoas, que depois consegue-se refletir e ter algum efeito prático no que se diz produto de sociedade. E este trabalho que eu vou falar foi algo que me orgulhou muito e eu sei que com o tempo vai ter um impacto e vai conseguir ver-se o fruto, o produto desse trabalho. Porquê? Esse era um projeto que eu fiz lá no Norte, quando estava a viver no Porto, que era chamado O Mito à Verdade. Resumindo, o que os outros faziam com 5.000, nós fizemos com 1.200. Mas o mais importante disto tudo era que era baseado em quebrar mitos e estereótipos que existiam em torno da comunidade cigana. Então, parecendo que não, houve ali uma grande envergadura de trabalho e esforço das várias autarquias e do próprio Centro Social de Soutelo em fazer as parcerias com as várias escolas para nos receberem com todas a pompa e circunstância, que é mesmo assim, que fomos sempre muito bem recebidos, e para uma plateia várias plateias de pais, mães, alunos, auxiliares, professores, educadores, diretores, todo aquele pessoal da escola, e éramos bombardeados com questões que de facto, pronto, digamos até absurdas. E na verdade, quando acabavam aquelas formações que dávamos, aquelas aulas de sensibilização, as pessoas diziam: ai, senhor Prudêncio, que eu tinha uma ideia tão errada disso. Estamos a falar de professores que ensinam crianças, não é? Porque a escola em si é uma máquina reprodutora de racismo e de divisão. Eles lá, quando a gente entra no projeto a trabalhar como mediador, eles veem-nos como uma pedra no sapato. Então, esse projeto encheu-me de orgulho, porque eu sei que aquelas 200, 300, 400 pessoas que nos ouviram, que entenderam a nossa mensagem e que essas 400 ou 500 pessoas tinham uma ideia sobre a comunidade cigana, ficaram com outra ideia sobre a comunidade cigana, mas essas pessoas são pessoas que trabalham na área da educação e que trabalham com crianças e que são essas que serão as pessoas mais importantes para ouvir essa mensagem. Porque nós, aos adultos, já nem que vais lá com o martelo e podes mudar a mentalidade, não é? Mas esses adultos que estavam receptivos para aprender, não é? Eles ouviram com muita atenção, questionaram, e questões, olha que não é fácil responder a questões de crianças. Quando as crianças fazem perguntas, são mais difíceis que as dos adultos e deixam-nos porque eles não pensam na maldade, não é? Nós humanos é que somos todos maldosos e pensamos muito. Eles não. As palavras caem-lhes. E também tinha absurdos de pessoas ali que deixavam-me assim também um bocado de mãos atadas. Mas esse foi um projeto que me encheu de orgulho e já não é só o encher de orgulho. É saber que vai ter efeitos práticos e que vão ser notórios mais tarde, enquanto produto daquilo que nós tentámos fazer ver às pessoas. Esse foi um projeto grandioso e eu gostei muito desse projeto.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Inês, for having our partner in Portugal in the Associação Portuguesa Conversas de Psicologia, for having brought to us today the interview with Mr. Almerino Prudencio. Unfortunately, he is working also is not able to be with us today, but Inês will, as much as she can, try to answer any questions that might emerge in our audience. So thank you very much, Inês. I think it was a very interesting contribution of a man, a Roma leader, fighting for gender equality in Roma communities in Portugal. I have received a note from my co-host Martin at ABIF saying that we have a time problem. I think obviously when they're discussing such interesting and priority thematic like the one we are sharing today, it's difficult to look at the time. Nonetheless, understanding that people do have their commitments, I would propose to change a little bit the agenda for today. So I would suggest that we have the question and answers for this panel at right now, and then we can have a short break and come back with the remaining speakers. I know that our first speaker has finally joined us. As I suspected, she had the issues with the time zone. We are operating in 3 different time zones here, so it's natural. Liliana, welcome. The floor is open to all participants. If you have any questions, I think, Martin, we can now unmute everyone, and you can actually speak and ask your questions directly.
Everyone should be able to unmute themselves. So if you want to ask anything, please don't be afraid. In the meantime, I gathered some comments in the chat, not really questions, but some comments that are maybe fruitful for the discussion. Yeah, first of all, there were a lot of congratulations and applause to the strong and brave women who spoke today. And so let's repeat that. Thanks a lot for contributing to this event, and it was a pleasure to listen to your views. And also there were some comments about specific topics. For instance, there was the suggestion to not only to concentrate on younger women with the cultural advisor role, but also at older women, because there is the term auntie status. Because of their auntie status, they have a lot to say in the community, and they listen from the members in the community. And yeah, there is also a comment that the cultural advisors shouldn't be simply some volunteers who fight for their cause, but there should be paid workers in different support institutions, and not only considered to be voluntary helpers. And yeah, and also the comment to continue with our work and inform and empower more women more migrant women out there. So yeah, I think that's almost it, what I summed up. So if you have any additional comments or questions, please feel free to tell us now.
Maybe okay. Martin, sorry, it's Tiziana. I would like just to comment and also thank from our side the cultural advisors, especially that have been participating with us in the base project, because it was not just the training we had with them, but they were really active in participating to all the other meetings, to the lobby meetings, the dissemination, everything, because I want to stress the fundamental role in this context. So my comment is my hope is that we can involve them more and more when we think about other projects or any other activities. So I just want to thank them and thank you for all the great speech you have done also today.
I would like just to repeat what was said as a comment, because I think that it is important. The fact that we need to draw attention at the importance of the cultural advisors and mediators, that we need to make them a part of the legal procedures before the authorities and the organizations, so that they have that we acknowledge their work and that they receive that they can live from this work that they offer. It demands a lot of time. It demands a lot of strength, and it must be valued. That is all that I would like to say.
I would like to add to that is the importance, I cannot stress enough, the importance of collaboration. It is super, super important. And when the funders come to, let's say, like a migrant place where there's migrants who've got so wide, so many issues, I mean, range of issues that you can never even think of is going on. Don't only leave it to the cultural advisors only, because cultural advisors sometimes is not equipped to, you know, to tell you everything else that's going on. And maybe she doesn't also understand every individual's needs and all that. Just be aware of your cultural advisor's role in that, and be aware of her emotional state as well, because you might be dealing with something as cruel, as horrific as women being raped, or, you know, their extended family members killed, or they're fleeing for their life. So there's a lot of ranges why the migrants come to European or any other countries. So they carry so much. And just be aware of the cultural background. It is so important that you understand the people that you're working with. What is their cultural background? What is their religion background? Because sometimes in our communities, culture and religion is infused. So you can't tell which one is which. And you're going to have to untangle that and find out which one is which and which is what, and what do I need to talk about. Be mindful of the way they speak to you and the way you speak to them. The language that you use to approach them is absolutely vital to any work that you're doing. Language is your #1 tool. When you have a language on how to, to talk, then you can open many doors. And remember, when you open one door, you're opening 100 other doors for that person or for that family. Just be aware of that.
Yes, I'm agree with Hibo. I want just to thank them about this, because really is very important what do you say. Actually, language with culture, because sometimes in many cases as a mediator they ask us to just to translate what for example a doctor or a police or I don't know someone to translate just what they say me. But this is a big problem, because sometimes when you tell someone this question, they can understand something else, because in her culture maybe you cannot ask me like this, or maybe the body language, or sometimes I don't know, there is a lot of things that when there is collaboration or communication between the mediator and the doctor, the responsible, anyone, it is more fast and more easy to do the good sentence, let me say, to give this information to the person. Actually, I want to say another thing. I talked about the place to share the story, or a place for doing something normal, but in the same time we can give information and talking about this thing. But I think also maybe the cinema, in this place we can project some film, for example, because there is some person, maybe they listen to the other person, but they don't have a power to talk, because there is a person who can after some time they can talk it, but in many cases they don't have a courage to talking. So maybe when they share some film or something like this, just to know that it is not the only girl that have this problem. There is a lot of girls that have this problem. Many culture also, they have the same case. For example, I'm from Tunisia, and I look my sister, for example, in Iran or in Iraq or in some other place, and I say, oh, it's like my story, so I'm not alone. So I think sharing this thing help also to have confidence with them, and in the same time to introduce our information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sana, Hibo, Natasha, and for your extra contribution. I don't know if there's anyone else that would like to raise a question before we break for a short break. No, so I would say, let me just check the time. It's 20, so let's say in 10 minutes, if we can all be back. And in the second half of our conference, we will be talking about the base tools, but also in a point that Hibo was raising, which is the need of establishing synergies. And we will be sharing our work on how the base project has been working to build this bridge with between the advisors, with civil society organizations, and the authorities as well. So thank you again. Thank you very much. And we will meet here in 10 minutes time. Hello, everyone. We're back to the second half of the Base Empowerment Conference. And we will start this panel with Iliana Balabanova. Iliana is a freelance consultant and manager in projects related to women's human rights, gender equality, and violence against women and girls. Iliana has worked for over 25 years in the areas of prevention and protection of violence against women and girls, gender stereotypes, gender equality, mechanisms, and standards. Iliana has served as a vice president of the European Women's Lobby, the biggest umbrella organization of women associations in the European Union. Also, Iliana is a Bulgarian national expert at the European Women's Lobby Observatory on Violence Against Women, and in various advisory boards and expert groups at national and international level. Iliana is also the co-founder and president of the Bulgarian platform of the European Women's Lobby. Iliana, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sofia. And first of all, really, I do apologize, and please excuse me for being so late for this conference. I made a terrible mistake with time. This morning I was checking twice when we are starting, and I was seeing it is written 11:30 GMT, and I decided this is a Greenwich time, so very sorry.
No problem, Iliana. That's absolutely fine and understandable.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm really sorry that I missed the first part of the presentations and all the discussion. I'm sure it was very interesting, and yeah. Anyway, so not to lose more time, my task today is to share with you briefly the outcomes, the results from the impact evaluation questionnaires, and the results from our trainings, and mainly from the base tools. So I'll start with my presentation now. Is it visible? Can you see it? Yep.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so first of all, it is written that it is made by me, but before I'm making this presentation, yes, the text is mine, but it is written together with Martin. Thank you very much to Martin for helping me in making some diagrams and graphics. And yes, let's say our base tools which are in order to achieve our, developed in order to achieve our objectives of the project, are included our base program. So the base program, which is created of two modules, capacity building program for professionals and cultural advisor curriculum, are actually one of the base activities we have been done during the project. Both these models are having online open learning platform. And just briefly to remind that this base program, this base tool is developed on mainly by following the fundamental principles, which are focus on practical needs, oriented approach, modularization, face-to-face training units are combined with online activities, participatory and interactive learning methods, and the flexibility of the program. So after saying this, I would love to continue with what exactly was happening with our program and how we organizing our trainings for capacity building professionals and for cultural advisors. And how we actually evaluate the result of our base program and trainings. Very briefly, as I said, they have been organized two types of trainings. One type is capacity building trainings for raising professionalism and expertise among the professionalists which are dealing with the topic, and the other trainings were for cultural advisors. Let me start with the first outcomes of the capacity building trainings. I'm very happy to share with you that we managed to deliver and to organize the trainings for 235 participants in total for all countries, which are representing different background, representing different professional expertise like social workers, psychologists, police officers, lawyers, judges, prosecutors, representatives from the educational system, psychiatrists, nurses, NGOs, etc., etc. Some of these participants work directly with gender-based violence survivors and some with migrant communities in general. So the result of the impact evaluation of the capacity building is showing that, first of all, 57% of participants of this training was giving their answers to the impact evaluation questionnaire. Which means that 121 participants out of 235 in total were sharing their opinion and what they think about the training. And what they think. Participants expressed that they found the training extremely or mostly effective, and only 2 of participants assessed the trainings as neutral effective, which I think is a big success about this project, and especially for the program we developed together. It is really a very serious result. Participants who attend the online trainings underline that face-to-face activities would give more space and opportunities for further discussion and debates, but nevertheless, they also rated the trainings as extremely effective. So because of the COVID, part of the trainings has been implemented online and the other part face-to-face. In some countries, they use both methods in organizing these trainings. Depends on the COVID situation at the moment. Great majority, over 90% of the participants found the trainings well structured and organized. The contributions and the information given very interesting and very well explained. They also state that the materials used for the trainings, including those for the online trainings, were adequate to the content. 100% of the participants from all countries answered affirmatively to the willingness to introduce what they have learned into their work. Here are some of the comments. I will not read all of them because of the time. We don't have enough time, but please let me read few of them. People are saying that the multidisciplinary nature of the participants cultivated a rich exchange which was valuable in terms of understanding different angles and also the experiences of different professionals in dealing with cases. This is what participants from Cyprus said. And I must say that most of the feedback and the comments written by the participants are underlying the fact that these trainings are very useful and successful for them, not only because of the content, but also because of the fact that they had all these experts, professionals, they had the opportunity to share their experience and different practice and different good and bad models they used, but also different angles of their professional, in their practice, in their professional work on this specific topic, which is sexual and gender-based violence against women and girls, and also against women and girls from migrant and refugee communities. This is the same what participants from UK are saying, different professional perspective, different aspects of gender-based violence. The same is confirmed by Greece, participant from Greece. They said it was a very important issue. We analyzed very important issue. There was a constructive discussion on these issues and substantial solutions and directions were suggested. What are the skills and knowledge acquired by the participants in these capacity building trainings? On the first place, they rated how to communicate and collaborate with other services, which is linked to the statements I was giving in the previous slides. They also said that they learned a lot about communication with victims and families and strategies for multi-sectoral collaboration. Also get some new knowledge and skills regarding basic terms, the phenomenon of gender stereotypes and sexual and gender-based violence. And also they learned a lot about cultural and myths and stereotypes. What are the topics which participants want to learn more about? On the first place, from all countries, participants are putting migration and vulnerabilities, consequences, symptoms for children who were exposed to specific risk during their migration and children support services. This is the topic which in further discussion or trainings they would love to discuss again and to learn more about. Next, they would love to learn more about communication with migrant girl survivors of gender-based violence and also about collaborative support in cases of sexual and gender-based violence. Capacity building trainings impact on practice. I must say that the evaluation result of the evaluation impact questionnaire showed that 50% of participants were already working with cases of gender-based violence before the base trainings. But participants as I said, some of them are working directly with victims or survivors. The other are just working with minority group, with minority community. So those participants who do not work directly with gender-based violence survivors share that these cases come across as transversal in the support services, and professionals should be prepared to address them adequately. This is what the Portugal participants are saying. And it is once again confirmation for how effective was the training and the program. In some countries, some of the participants already worked or started working with the Roma community, and they found the training very useful in helping them addressing domestic violence cases. This is the case in Portugal and in Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, people who were working with Roma community, they said it is really very, very important to have training like this, because it helps us to address domestic violence cases also. And what all the participants from all the countries saying is that thanks to the training contacts, they managed to make a contact with various entities, organizations, and professionals who work on the different forms of intervention intervention in this topic. So this collaborative support or multidisciplinary support, which in some countries, in different countries, which work on different levels or developed on different levels, is actually being really supported and developed thanks to the trainings we have organized in frame of BASE project. So what is the result regarding the cultural advisors training? Here we managed to deliver trainings to 170 people, participants, women and girls, which are coming from different countries, almost from all over the world. The impact evaluation, which is result coming between 1 and 6 months after the trainings has been conducted. And this impact evaluation results are measuring subjective estimation of training effectiveness, acquired skills and knowledge, topics participants want to learn more about, and impact in practice when dealing with that type of violence. So, again, as you can see, first of all, the format of these trainings, in 41% being online, 32% of the participants taking training face-to-face, and both way, face-to-face and online, are 27 of participants. And training effectiveness. I'm really happy to see that 70% of participants saying that the training was very effective. 24% are saying quite effective, 5% are neutral, and only 1% is saying that training was not effective at all. Including the open learning platform is estimated or valued as very, very successful. 80% of the people are saying yes, it is very good online platform, improved learning experience, and 20% are saying no, it is not effective, and not effective in gaining more knowledge and skills. But 80% are saying yes. So participants describe the trainings as very useful in terms of learning new knowledge. And here are some statements coming from participants. Bulgarian participants are mentioning that the trainings were very successful. We got to know more about our rights and duties and how to deal and raise awareness, face challenges with strength and courage. The training was successful, addressing several forms of violence against women and proposing several solutions to these problems. Participants from Greece are saying it was a good chance to exchange experience and broaden our knowledge. For me, it was successful since it helped me get bigger and better idea about the problem and sharing information and experience. From Cyprus, people are saying sharing opinions, ideas, knowledge. The trainings was a good combination between interaction and theory. The same positive comments are made from people from Slovenia, which are saying that they learned new and useful things, a lot about terms, their meanings, and in the context of each topic. And also from Portugal, which are saying that participants getting deeper to understand better the dynamic of gender-based violence, and that the training helped me, said one participant, be more aware of gender issues. And this is the participant from Portugal in these cultural advisor trainings who wants to make PhD on migrations. In Italy, the same positive things has been shared. People from Italy saying that they have better understanding of different cultures now, better identifying in victims and adapting words and body language to the context and situation. But what is really very important, when I was reading the result from different countries, the first impression is that the training helped people to be more motivated in terms of solidarity and to be more motivated to work for supporting and finding solution when when they are facing the problems with sexual or gender-based violence. And here is what one of the participants is saying: the training helped me to help other people. I learned more about my right as a woman. For me, the training was so meaningful as I had such problem and I have it now. And now I know what are my rights. And also, there are many women that face such problems but do not know whom to talk with and where to ask for help. Now, the participant said, we know there are people who can help them. From Cyprus, people are saying it was fun and I had a great time, though sometimes melancholic because of my personal experience, but all in all, it was fruitful. Slovenian participants are saying, I like the fact that all forms of discrimination are not taboo topic. In addition, participants are sharing their statements that it was a good choice of trainers, implementation on the high level, very well organized, and the videos and the quiz were my favorite part because they also made the model more interactive and informative. So I think it was important to listen and to read all these statements sharing by participants of the cultural advisors training, because some of them are sharing that this was the first time they are participating in training like this. And the fact that the cultural advisor curriculum was giving these possibilities to be adapted to different type of people. Some of them are, for the first time, are hearing about the problems, and some terminologies are really very new for them. But also for those who have already been aware about some of the topics. So the curriculum is so well composed and developed, and giving these possibilities to be adapted accordingly to the group of people who are participating. And which are the skills and knowledge acquired on the first place, acquired by the participants. They mentioned that sexual violence, gender-based violence, basic terms, basic definitions, and gender stereotypes, you can see here on a diagram in a percentage, are the skills and the knowledge they acquired on the first place. But as you can see, all the others topics are rating with 39, 40, 48%. And what are the topics which participants want to learn more about? On the first place, they mentioned migration and vulnerabilities, then following by communication with migrant girls and collaborative support. And what is in general impact on practice when dealing with gender-based violence and related topics. This is also for both trainings, capacity building, and cultural advisor. You can see that people are stated they feel more comfortable addressing gender-based violence and cultural difference, learning contents introduced in practice, recognize need for support and supervision, apply survivor-centered approach, and 89% are saying that they, after the trainings, are more aware of relevant support services. And in general, the conclusions. Base tools is considered effective in achieving the goals of empowerment of migrant women as cultural advisor, building the capacity of professionals to communicate and address the needs of migrant girls and their families, and developing inclusive support services. One of the comments made is that there is a need to translate the materials in different languages, including Arabic language, because as we know, the materials, the base tool, the program, both programs, both models, including online platform, are only in our national languages. And let me end with some statement made by a person from Cyprus. I think it's a good end of this presentation. So this participant is saying, continue the way you are, just don't give up, because many people, especially women, young girls, need to sensitize on these pertinent issues so as to be able to recognize abuse and know what to do or where to go in case of abuse. I think in this statement, we can see how important was the project we worked on, and I hope we'll continue to do this because there is a need to do this. So it was from me, and I hope it was interesting, and if you have some questions, I will try to answer.
Thank you very much, Eliana. It was definitely very interesting, even for us, that we've been analyzing on a country level the results, but now to have this overall perspective on the feedback is definitely very rewarding, but also to have further guidance on what should be points of improving. Thank you very much, Eliana. Next, it's our, well, we have two speakers to talk about the efforts that have been made within the BASE project to develop synergies across Europe and talk about the transnational cooperation activities. The first speaker, and here I'm sure I'm going to get her surname wrong, it's Ruta Grigaglionati. Ruta, correct me. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Sophia. Thanks to all speakers and hi, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here and to reflect together with you about the importance of cooperation and building networks in relation to handling gender-based violence towards girls with migrant refugee background, as it was one of the aims of this project. I believe that here we all agree that building a network is fundamental for social change, as it was already anticipated by our speakers previously. And I believe that also only in unity and through the collaboration, we can ensure that our actions are sustainable and can impact lives of future generations. When talking about networks, I often come back to the notion of web making, as referred by a well-known peace builder, John Paul Lederach. He developed a framework for conflict resolution and peace building by transferring his observations of the behavior of spiders. Here, his framework can be easily adapted and used in social field in general, because it refers to the importance of relationships for social change. Here, for building sustainable justice, the quality and nature of people relationships are crucial. Therefore, the goal is to build a strong web, like the spider does, to build strong relationships that survive external shocks. For effective web making, firstly, it is essential to understand the environment one moves in. And if one wants to observe social change, analyze it, and learn how to bring it about, one has to look closer into the social fabric of a society, relationships between people, and those relational spaces. In the case of BASE, we had to make links with human rights advocates, support service professionals, survivors of gender-based violence, representatives of civil society organizations, and migrant community representatives as well, present within each our country territories. And this required, firstly, careful observation and analysis of who are doing what. It also required patience and perseverance, because social processes we are working with are dynamic, and the web keeps changing constantly. Here we had, and we still have to consider constantly changing legislations, new organizations that come into play, new projects, and also all external factors, such as in our case, what happened, it was the pandemic. Then for effective web making, as according to the framework, only then once one that understands the environment, maps all stakeholders, one can make use of the potential of a given space. We here working in social field have to create cross-linkages between people, or rather, I would say, create spaces where those cross-linkages can develop. We do not have to provide a solution to a social problem, but we have to create a platform where these solutions might be created. So coming back to spiders, it is that we can learn from spiders that web making is the art of creating platforms then to generate creative responses more than creating the solution itself. Then once we have a platform that unites people having the same goal, we can easier ask them about the potential solutions to a problem oneself. And they might have an idea, and they definitely do have an idea. So transnational cooperation and networking in BASE was about creating spaces to bring all the different ideas and people together to generate them solutions. Thank you here, and then I leave space for Tiziana, who then will talk more about what has been done during the BASE. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ruta. I realize that I have not introduced Ruta properly. So Ruta is a project manager at the Rights and Justice Unit of CESIE. She has knowledge and skills in capacity building and networking activities to enhance the skills of professionals from support services, working with the women victims of trafficking and survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. She works with teachers to prevent and respond to gender-based violence in schools, and she works also in the same topics with the local authorities. And Tiziana Fantucchio, her colleague at CESIE, also a project manager at the Rights and Justice Unit. Tiziana actively works in the field of migration, gender equality, and child abuse prevention through research, training, and transnational cooperation within the framework of transnational projects. Tiziana, please.
Thank you very much, Sofia. Yeah, and thank you, Ruta. Indeed, I would like to a bit talk about more what we have done within the BASE project in the field of networking and creating cooperation between stakeholders and cultural mediators. As Ruta said, networks are really important, especially when it comes to prevent and combat gender-based violence. Within the BASE project, what we have done is to promote dialogue and cooperation between professionals from different support services and cultural mediators with different backgrounds. So they could just meet, talk, and analyze together how to support migrant women and girls victims of gender-based violence, but in an integrated way. This implies, first of all, a good communication between them, professional and cultural mediators. We have done so, we have been trying to do so, all the partners, by creating networks and through local meetings in each country, and developing with them a protocol of cooperation, and then organizing also transnational meetings to share practices among the different countries. As mentioned, we have developed networks, but on different levels. First of all, it was an international network among project partners. Then local networks that involves professionals from support services and institutions working with the victim of gender-based violence, and networks of cultural mediators. At all levels, the collaboration has brought about different benefits. Firstly, it has supported the sharing of experiences, of methodologies among project partners, and encouraged stronger cooperation across Europe, again with the same aim to prevent gender-based violence and to look for common solutions. Also, it has provided space for local actors to think about solutions and how to promote and reinforce the effort when it comes to help those girls. Finally, it promoted trained cultural mediators, as their role, as we have been saying, but I want to highlight again, is fundamental, and they should be really more listened and included within support services, especially when working with people from different cultural backgrounds. All of these, the connections made, the collaboration established on the three levels, have both brought and will be bringing in a long term benefits to our direct beneficiaries, that are the women victims of gender-based violence. For all the reasons discussed till now, we think it's of fundamental importance to go on meeting. It's important for both professionals and cultural mediators to find the time and the right space to meet and share. That's why we won't stop our work with the end of the project, and we are keen to create an even more inclusive and innovative follow-up of the BASE project. So thank you again also for being here and being part of this network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiziana and Ruta. We will then proceed to our final speaker. Blaž Lenarčič holds a PhD in sociology and is an assistant professor and a research associate at the Science and Research Center in Koper. His main research fields are intercultural studies and the social impact of information and communication technologies, and recently has begun to study the influence of these technologies on the migration process. He has been involved in different national and international research projects dealing with migration. Blaž today will talk to conclude about the BASE project highlights and recommendations.
Thank you. I will be very brief, try to be very brief. During the BASE project, we implemented different activities such as desk research, focus group with professionals, focus group with migrant women, and several conversations with stakeholders. And those activities, among others, allowed us in-depth view into the project's topic. As a result, we identified different gaps that currently exist, and we also identified recommendations to eliminate them. So I will briefly present those gaps and recommendations that we came upon during the project. The first topic is legislation. During the recent years, all partner states made tremendous steps towards the elimination of gender-based violence. And all of them are signatories to major and important international documents addressing gender-based violence. And they also have a broad legislative framework in order to tackle this kind of violence. But on the other hand, no one of them does not respond specifically to the gender-based violence against migrant and refugee women and girls. So the national legislations do not focus specifically on the particular needs of migrant and refugee women and girls. And although those national legal measures focus on violence against women in form of trafficking and female genital mutilation, they do not focus on the specific vulnerability of migrant and refugee women and girls. That's why our recommendation is that within the framework of the laws on the prevention and treatment of gender-based violence, it is necessary to take into account the specific needs of migrant women and girls. The other topic, which is quite important, is data collection. In all BASE partner states, there is absent in-depth data and comprehensive periodical research on gender-based violence on a general level, and in the context of migrant and refugee women and girls as well. Therefore, it is, the first step to implement and to introduce specific measures regarding the gender-based violence is the information about the level of the phenomenon that we are dealing with. There are different gaps, like the first one is that many unaccompanied children are traveling through the EU countries and they are quickly transferred to other places. Therefore, it is impossible to capture them in this data. The other gap is that there are many social factors which prevent reporting, particularly gender-based violence, as our research suggests, is much less likely that this kind of violence is reported by migrant and refugee women coming from different reasons, like due to a sense of shame surrounding the issue within the communities. And the other important issue is that is fear of the being deported. And maybe the third issue which came out is that in a lot of cases, migrant women depend on perpetrator in an economical or maybe some other reasons. Recommendations which we came upon with were the first one is, in order to efficiently tackle the phenomenon, it should be systematic data collection should be started first. Then victims of gender-based violence must be encouraged to report the violence. But in order to do so, certain conditions and environment should be established where victims would feel safe and that they will have a sense that they will be taken care of them. And in order to increase reporting of this kind of violence among target group of raising awareness activities should be included also migrant women and girls. The third topic is prevention. This is also quite important topic. In terms of prevention against gender-based violence, the results of our research and project as a whole show that existing measures do not tackle the roots of this kind of violence. Namely, there were identified several gaps and barriers, but I will just emphasize two of them. The first one is that even though there are several initiatives and actions to prevent gender-based violence and protect migrant and refugee victims, in most cases they are project-based efforts launched by non-governmental organizations, which means that when there is no more finances, the projects shut down. And it's not, there is no continuous activities regarding those efforts. And the second one, many organizations dealing with violence and protection and prevention measures in partner states are currently affected by cuts due to the pandemic, which prevent the practical implementation of existing legal bases. Therefore, systematic prevention raising awareness activities should be included children of all ages and cultural backgrounds, starting in kindergarten. Besides women and girls, these activities should also include men and boys, especially among migrant and refugee communities. Those activities should not be project-based and financed, but their continuation should be guaranteed. And for certain places of transition like hotspots, camps, asylum homes, and similar, living conditions should be improved and enough competent staff provided to avoid circumstances that allow gender-based violence to occur. The third topic is treatment. In the field of treatment, the results of BASE project showed that migrant and refugee women and girls victim of gender-based violence are facing difficulties in this process, which arise from following four issues. The first one is available services are not tailored to specific needs of migrant and refugee women and girls. Consequently, they face language, cultural, religious, and other barriers and stereotypes. There is a lack of interpreters in most reception facilities and governmental institutions dealing with the gender-based violence. The third one is lack of systematic training provided for frontline workers or intercultural competences in order for them to feel safer to address victims of gender-based violence issues and have also a more holistic approach and at the end of the day, better results. And the last one is the support of cultural advisor is not always guaranteed due to the limited funding or similar support services. Therefore, we recommend that professionals working with migrant and refugee women and girls, victims of GBV, should be more educated in the field of interculturality The latter would improve the understanding of victims, socio-cultural contexts, and contribute to services, became more friendly to victims. The second one is recommendation is that the most important are training, which have to be included migrant and refugee women as a cultural advisors, which would closely collaborate with professionals and to promote of multi-service, multi-agency, and cross-border cooperation in transferring knowledge and experiences in handling this kind of violence against migrant women and girls, and through the active engagement of key stakeholders. And speaking of cultural advisors, as it was stressed a couple of times, within the BASE project, cultural advisor is of great importance. This profile is not equivalent to a mediator in juridical procedures. He or she is also much more than interpreter and translator. They are members of migrant and refugee communities who mediate the dissonances produced by cultural differences and are trained to intervene in cases of gender-based violence, facilitate communication, on the other hand, between support services and survivors, and promote awareness in families and communities. In the field of creating a conceptualized profile for this role, cultural advisors are facing challenges in the recognition process. And the first one is that the poor awareness on a general level of the importance of cultural advisor is present when dealing with the gender-based violence, sexual violence, or domestic violence. The second one is that in the majority of cases, cultural advisors are not included in the formal state support system. The third one is that the work of cultural advisors is often required on voluntary basis, when it instead demands a lot of engagement, constant availability, it is psychological exhaustive, and also requires professionality and specific knowledge. Maybe the last issue, which is not written, that the cultural advisor role is sometimes confused with the interpreter's role. And as said before, those are two different profiles. Therefore, we recommend that knowledge and skills required for cultural advisors can be classified in the curriculum of certain graduate or undergraduate studies, for example, social work, cultural studies, maybe sociology, or different language studies. And in these cases, cultural advisors would have more chance to enter the existing system through the already established and recognized professions, instead of introducing a brand new profession or profile. Also, in order to raise awareness among both the general public and the policymakers on the importance of cultural advisors, campaigns should be promoted and implemented through presentations of good or successful stories, through real cases in which cultural advisors were engaged. And we also recommend that NGOs and support services which train cultural advisors, they would establish a network, and through this network create links with governmental institutions. In this way, networks of NGOs would guarantee for cultural advisors that they meet certain standards, and this would facilitate their access to the public and official system of support and improve the public service provision. And this should be also introduced on the European level, not only on national levels of certain or maybe base project involved states, but on the general European Union level. This was briefly my presentation. I hope I was clear enough. I tried also to be very brief. So if there is any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Blaž. I would like to also say that the presentation that Blaž delivered today is a result of an actual document, the white paper, the base white paper, and we will make it available soon on our website.
And maybe in national languages, I mean, project language.
Yes, it will be translated in our partner countries' languages. I know we have run completely out of time, but I think I will still open the floor for any final comments that our speakers or our participants in our conference might have. So please do feel free.
I would like to say a very few comments, which is, if you want to really empower migrant women and girls, there's actually quite a very easy route to go to. Number one is teach them their human rights, where they are. Teach them what is it the law covers about them. Are they covered in terms of domestic violence? Are they covered in terms of husbands abusing them? Are they covered in terms of the religion issues they are facing? They don't want to do anything. Teach them their basic human right in that setting they're in, and you have an empowered person there. Because most of us, the communities we come from, women are nothing. Women are beneath everything. Everything about you is the future husband or your husband. So you don't exist in that sense. You don't have a right to outsay what you believe or what you want to say. You don't have a voice. Then you come to the Western world where you have a voice, but you don't know if you can use your voice because you come from somewhere that you are restricted on every level. So you don't go out, find out what is it that you are capable of? What is it that you can do? Or what is it that this country's law says about you? What is it? You need to use the human rights law in order to empower them. You open a human rights law, teach them what is it they are, what is their rights, and you have an amazing people who are empowered through that. And they go and re-deliver that to others. Really, that's the easiest solution to getting into the migrant. Women and girls are amazing. Give them a little tool, give them an inch of what they can do and how that can be done, and you have a whole road opening in front of you. So don't be afraid to teach them. Even if you feel like, you know, where they come from, oh, they come from this community, it's quite restrictive, they're not open-minded. No one on earth is not open-minded, and no one on earth is unreachable. Every single one of us is reachable. The question is, do you have the tool to do that? Do you have the confidence to do that? Most importantly, do you have the humanity to do that? I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Hibu. Definitely, I think it's a message that has come across the 2 years that we have been working at education. It's definitely the first empowerment tool that we need to give to girls, and actually to every children, to all the children out there. That's definitely the strongest message. Priscilla, I think.
Next. 5? 5, 1, 2.
To add to what Hibu said, she really articulated well the messages. I mean, each time she was talking, I felt like she was talking to me, and I really loved. One thing that I just wanted to add is because gender-based violence is such a taboo topic, like for most of us where we come from, and the thing is, I would like if when they should help the person before, during, and after. Why am I saying this? Like she rightly said, women are always treated like they're close to nobody, you know, especially like I always say the bride price issue, because when they pay a bride price or dowry, like some people call it, it makes, okay, let me not sound redundant trying to repeat everything, but what I would like to say based on the thing that she said is based on my experience. For example, it's the continuation. You know, when you help somebody, the person is going through domestic violence and then the person gets out, I think the person needs an additional help after, because when you get out, like now I've just decided to just live a kind of life like I don't mind a lot about what people say about me, because where I come from, for example, in Cameroon, I'm considered bad influence. How dare I like take that step to divorce? I'm seen as a bad influence. I'm somebody that the other, like there could be a Cameroonian, for example, that will like tell the wife, or don't go close to her because she's not a good woman, you know, because like when you're going through abuse and then you say somebody even mentions it, like then the other people are just like, what did she do, you know? So you don't have a right to leave your home because he can cheat, he can beat, like those are, they call it family problems, you know? It's not considered a real problem. So even when we are here, we sometimes, yeah, that's why I'm saying it's really good to have like a conference where they invite everybody, like, so that people should really know that it's something that's painful. It's something that's really like heart-wrenching, because people really, they don't see it like that. And when we come from Africa, we bring that mentality here, and people just take it like, oh no, I don't want you to go next to her. They start, like they have this stigma, divorced women, oh my God, she should be a prostitute. She how can she defy the odd, like divorce? No, she's just bad influence. She just, don't go close to her, don't do anything with her, mostly you are looked upon as being useless. Like again, no matter what you do, a PhD, whatever you have, like I always say, you're nobody. What they validate you based on your status, and it has to be like Mrs. somebody. If you come somewhere, you want to talk, oh, she has all those accolades, but does she have a man? If she doesn't have a man, she's basically useless. You know, we have that in us, and that could make you go down again the road of depression. So help should come in before, okay, during, and mostly after. So just to retain the victims of gender-based violence. Thank you. And by the way, I'm sorry I changed during the break because the internet was bugging. I know this is not essential based on what we are talking about. The internet was bugging, so my neighbor was nice enough to give me her home. I used it on the first part, so the technicians were here. So during the break, the kids told me that everything is okay. So now I'm back home. That's why there's this change. So I didn't just change like that. Thank you so much for the platform, and thank you. You guys are so amazing, and I have just nice things. I'm really feeling so great right now. Thank you all so much for your beautiful words. In fact, I came in so empty, and now I'm so full with different knowledge, and it's really remarkable. Thank you all.
Thank you, Priscilla. We are grateful for having someone like you participating, and we gain a lot from we have a lot to learn from your experience and from your strength. Thank you so much on behalf of everyone in the BASE project. I don't know if anyone else has any final comments. If not, then we will close our conference. I'm sure we could continue this conversation for a very long time. So I would like to stress, and I'm picking up on a metaphor that Ruta and Tiziana have used, the idea of creating, of threading a web of collaboration. So I just want to reassure everyone that the BASE project has at its very core the idea of cooperation, and should any of you want to establish communication and continue working with someone in other countries, do contact us, and we will facilitate this communication. So thank you so much, everyone, and I'm confident that we will keep continuing working together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all this organization. Thank you very much to the advisors for being here and being the soul of the project. Thank you for the work that you're doing. We really admire it. And we hope at some point in, I don't know how, we could meet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you for having me.
Sophia. Sophia, a word from the UK.
Yes, Amanda?
Obviously, things are changing a little bit for the UK when it comes to European funding opportunities, and we, you know, I'm not going to say any more about that because it's not something I can control, but we will be continuing to work with the partners in every way we possibly can. And this is a project we feel really passionate about. And we're going to carry on working with HEBO and other people in the UK and with our partners. So yes, we will definitely still be here. We'll still be working on initiatives. And we hope to work with you all in the future, Brexit or no Brexit.
Absolutely, Amanda. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a fantastic partnership. Hopefully most of you we're working with at least until the middle of 2024 on other projects. But yeah, we've set up a branch in Malaga, guys. So for all our European partners, don't count us out yet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So a very good afternoon for everyone. And well, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much. Goodbye.